Hello, I am taking this opportunity now that I have a haircut, quality professional haircut, to come to you again with StuTube part 4, pretty sure. This one's about um, test taking. Ooh, tip of the iceberg on test taking. Mostly the idea that tests are out to trick you, right? 20, 30, 40 years ago, Princeton Review came up with this great idea. If you don't know something, if you don't get something right, if you don't do well on a test, it's not your fault. It's not because you're, you know, bad at reading or haven't read anything on your own for 5 years because you've been laden with too much homework and turned off to the whole thing. It's not because you lack confidence in math. It's not because you've never learned your multiplication tables. It's because the test is out to trick you. It's not because you didn't practice. It's not because you didn't do your homework. It's because the test is out to trick you. And that's great. That made people feel better. And that helps a lot on a test, to feel good going into a test. But they also spread some feelings, some ideas that you're not responsible. And that's not good. That you are not responsible for your tests. That you are not responsible for not having learned certain things. That it's all about the test and that it's unfair. And they also spread this idea that certain people are good or bad test takers. It's not a genetic thing. It's not. It's a confidence thing and it's a knowledge thing. Kids who know more tend to do better. Some kids who know a lot don't do as well as they should because they get nervous. They get anxious. They want to be perfect. That's another issue. We'll talk about underachievers and overachievers later. But right now we're talking about this idea of tricks. And I got so tired of it, I started saying it's not like they're sawing the magician's assistant in half, or making the Statue of Liberty levitate, or pulling a rabbit out of a hat. But then I thought a test is sort of doing that, because what does a magic trick, which was just some of those things I mentioned, what does a magic trick do? A magic trick takes your expectations, your perceptions, and misdirects you. Okay, it gets you looking the wrong way while they're doing something over here. All right, and that happens. We get tricked. But here's the thing. If your grandpa pulls a coin out from behind your ear when you're 4 years old and you think it's magic, that's kind of cool. And it's like, wow, grandpa. But if he does it to you when you're, 12 years old or 18 years old and you're taking the SAT or something, and you don't catch on, that's on you. So test taking is, and seeing through these tricks is not about, teaching to the test, or, out strategizing them or beating the test. It's about you learning where you get misdirected. And it's not uncommon for most kids where they're going to get misdirected. I can usually predict fairly quickly when kids are going to get misdirected. But your job is to learn from those. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. If you always get negatives wrong, maybe when you get to a problem involving negatives, slow down, double check, triple check, think it through. If you always, and most kids, 90% of the times when a kid gets a coordinate geometry problem wrong, it's not for misunderstanding. It's for flipping the X and Y axis. So check that. The other thing they do on standardized tests with misdirections is hard topics, easy questions. They know, test makers know, that they put a square or a cube on an exponent and kids' heads are going to go through the roof. But they're not putting them there to trick you. They're putting them there because they want you to understand some simple ideas about exponents. So guess what? Those questions that most kids go insane over are usually fairly easy. Why? Because if 80% of the kids see an exponent and they lose their minds, they have to make it possible for those other 20% to get it right. If it's a hard topic and a hard question on the hard topic, no one's going to get it right, and it's not going to have any diagnostic value. So learn when you see those things and you want to jam it into fifth gear, dial down. Learn the contours of your mind, and you will be a good test taker. It's not as simple as that because we're always learning the contours of our minds. But start doing that. Start learning how to be a better thinker while you take a test. And don't worry about the test being unfair, because you can't change the test, but you can change you. That's it for now. StuTube will come back shortly. I'm going to maximize this haircut as much as I can. So we'll see you soon.